Nancy, how long should we wait for the new Federal Reserve head Warsh to start making progress? How much influence does Powell still have? I don't think Powell has much influence at all. As a matter of fact, I think he's very happy to step down. He does not want to be Trump's punching bag. Good question. I do not know when Warsh is going to start making his moves and cutting interest rates and the like. But it's going to happen. It'll happen soon. This is, again, he was handpicked by Trump, so it should go well. MDE, you mentioned resentment politics last week. The French Revolution came to mind. The party that wields that sword seems to off each other eventually. It does. It does. It does. And we've seen it, with LGBT politics combined with Islamic politics. And so in Islamic jurisdiction or as an Islamic demographic will vote for the same candidate that the LGBT demographic voted for. And we saw that in Dearborn, Michigan. We saw that in Hamtramck. Well, one of the first acts that the all Muslim, I think all Democrat Hamtramck City Council did is they banned the pride flag. we saw almost the exact same thing in Birmingham, UK, where an openly gay principal wanted to institute an LGBT-friendly curriculum in their K-8 school. But the problem is 60 or 70% of the school are all Muslim, primarily Pakistani Muslim. And the parents flipped out and they had to cancel the program. So now, again, they vote the same way, but then they end up, once they get to power, as it were, once they get what they want, then they start axing each other because they're not victims anymore. The only thing that holds people together in resentment politics is victimhood. And they're victims of this establishment that is oppressing them. But once they become the establishment, once they get power, and once a particular group gets to power, the other groups oftentimes get shafted. So yeah, it ends up destroying itself for sure. In human condition, how impactful will the arrest and conviction of Neville Roy Singham be against communism in this country? I doubt it can happen since no one here is even held accountable. Yeah, and is he even here? I thought he was in China. Was it? Am I getting him mixed up with somebody else? I thought he and his wife had moved to China, or they spent a lot of time in China. Yeah, so this is what we're gonna have to see. This all comes down to the DOJ and the extent to which they're willing to financially dismantle the left. Same goes for Soros as well. But the impact would be huge. And it would be, the moment people start getting arrested, you start distancing yourself from them and their entourage. We saw it after J6 in 2020. In 2021, we saw a number of supposedly MAGA faithful renounce it. So don't send me to prison, please don't send me to prison. So they wouldn't be dragged in with what they thought was the retribution that was supposed to come against Trump. And of course, that's one of the reasons why Ken Paxton was endorsed. Paxton was by his side the entire time when he was being legally persecuted as well as prosecuted. Wesley, I'm from Brazil and love your channels. Let's elect Flavio Bolsonaro. Thank you, Trump, for classifying our crime organizations terrorists. Yeah, absolutely. Wesley, I'll be there next week. I'm going to be in Brasilia. So if you're around at a classical school conference, it's the first one, I think, ever in Brazil. We actually had a small one back in 2019, I think it was. When was Bolsonaro first? When was Jair elected? 2018, right? So it would have been 2018, the summer of 2018. Everyone was really excited about Jair Bolsonaro. But they just thought that he could never win because the establishment always pull the plug in some way, shape, or form, pull the rug out from under him. Trying to find a nice metaphor. And anyway, yeah. So I'm going to be. We had a small classical education conference then, but this is huge. I think there's over 1,000 people coming, so I'll be one of the speakers. And yeah, can't wait. I love Brazil and your pizzas, man. I was in Sao Paulo, so I had the Sao Paulo pizza, which is great. Coming from a guy from New Haven. I was born in New Haven. We pride ourselves of having the best pizzas in the country. ROT core. Wait, where are the Democrats getting all these millions if there's so much in debt? Okay, so basically, what the debt shows is that's the DNC, and what's happening is Democrat donors aren't giving to the DNC anymore. Perhaps they never were, and the DNC was getting most of its money from USAID, right? And all the shady shell corporations and foundations that were founded um, in order to divert taxpayer numbers to left-wing causes and politicians. So they're sending their money directly to the candidates, directly to Tallarico, directly to Plattner, directly to Hochul in New York. So they're now what makes that bad then is there's no coherent. It's almost like the Iranian mosaic doctrine, where if the top leadership gets taken out, every general gets to act more or less as a sovereign leader over his own provincial jurisdiction force. And so you literally can have, I forget how many they had. I think they have 22 or so, 20 plus provinces. So you have literally 20 plus different ideas of how to rule. And I think I do agree that if you have a very vibrant, in touch, competent, centralized organization to give to that can then spend that money wisely, then you give it to them. Obviously, and that's, by the way, what happened with Cornyn is all these outside PACs pump money into his coffer, and everything except John Thune's his dark money organization. Everyone, it seems to me, were outside the mainstream, Republican National Committee. They were doing it on their own initiative, and they're with the full blessing of the DC establishment. So they're broke, but they're broke at the DNC level, not necessarily at individual candidates levels. Movie erotic. You think inflation will go down after the war is over? Yep, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's the oil prices that are pushing prices up. Because just when energy is more expensive, everything becomes more expensive because everything needs energy to be produced. But it's already going down. There's a number. I mean, the future speculators we've seen it drop dramatically to its lowest point now in, I think, 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, and it'll continue to go down. And then that gives Trump more leverage because it completely backfires the Iranian strategy of causing pain at the pump, and then politically pressuring Trump to concede.